These are the Manley Labs Snapper monoblock tube amplifiers. Built from the ground up in Chino, California, they feature a quartet of EL34 power tubes. Each monoblock dishes out 100 watts of tube muscle and maintains that wattage from 40 kilohertz all the way down to 15 hertz. Yes, folks, these guys aren't some kind of wimpy tube amp where all the magic is exclusive to the mid-band, leaving us looking for band-aids to make up for the lack of punch in the bass department. These American-made beauties are completely balanced via XLR and offer unbalanced connections via RCA, providing you with everything you need for connecting whatever preamp you decide to go with. With an optional toggle switch, the snappers can be run full power in ultralinear or triode for a compromise of power for less distortion. In my testing, both sounded excellent, and I would say the toggle switch is a smart move for anyone who decides to hit the checkout button. Speaking of checking out, the Manley Labs retail just south of $8,000, and the only question we need to answer is, what the heck do these actually sound like? And folks, with a warm welcome back to New Record Day, that is exactly what we are going to do. Let's have some fun. Before I can tell you what the Manley Snappers sound like, I think it's going to be easier to tell you what they don't sound like. So hang in there. Let me unpack this. You will hear audiophiles talk about tube gear, and often that conversation kind of goes down like this. Hey guys, I got this new tube amplifier, and it's unbelievable. Oh, okay, well yeah, I mean, you know, tell us, what's up? What's up with this new amp? Oh, guys, I got to tell you, the mid-range is to die for. It's unbelievable. Oh, okay, well, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, what's so special about it? It's like this holographic type imaging thing going on, and things are just reaching out further into the room. Man, it is just to die for. It's so good. Wow, okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. What about the bass? Guys, the mid-range is to die for. You gotta hear the mid-range. I'm telling you, the mid-range. That's the conversation. Or it might go like this. What about the top end? Well, the top end is a little bit soft. But guys, the mid-range, let's talk more about the mid-range. So there's a reason why I'm starting this review by mentioning this, because I think it's important, because these snappers have, let's just say they've taught me a few things about what a great tube amplifier, in this case, tube power amplifiers, what they're supposed to be able to do. And yes, let's get this part right. The mid-range is a huge piece of the puzzle, no doubt. But when it comes to bass, and when it comes to the top-end extension of the Manley snappers, we're not going to be having that typical audiophile conversation, because these they're a straight line amplifier. And what I mean by that is you have music content from 20 hertz all the way up to 20K. And my goodness, as I've been listening to the snappers, I never find myself going, I wish they had a little more down here, and I wish they did a little more up here. That has never crossed my mind as I have sat down and as I have listened to the Manley snappers. Yes, clearly, the mid-range is perhaps where they are going to give you the most amount of magic, right? And I think that that's going to have to come down to the word presence. That's what I notice more than anything else is instruments sound natural. Instruments sound like they are really in the room, and they have the texture that they are supposed to have. So there's this tone that is convincing. That's convincing me that there is an actual performance here. It's the magic of tubes. I don't know how else to say it. And I don't think that it's unique to the snappers. It's when you have tubes doing their thing in the mid-range, you just have this kind of holographic thing going on, and you have instruments sounding clear and natural and lifelike. I've spent a lot of time with the snappers, and I've put them through their paces. Right now we're listening to the Tecton Impacts, and I picked these speakers because they're really like an all-in-one solution that has that full bandwidth. 20 hertz to 20K, actually 30K technically. We'll be talking a little bit more about that when I do the review for the Impacts. But regardless, these speakers are able to express all of the music. And as I've been pairing them up with these and listening to a lot of different material, it's kind of interesting because there's been times where I've played with the snappers and I'm like, okay, super good. Everything is here. I'm going to turn these things off and I'm going to run everything just right out of the Leo and see if I notice any big differences, any big changes. And guys, if I was to, be honest with you, if we're talking about just bandwidth, if we're talking about the capabilities of the amplifiers coming through, I'm not hearing anything that is like life-changing and, the clouds are parting and here comes Eva Ann Manley and she's like, yeah, check this out, dude. Nothing like that. I think that what I am noticing and what I'm hearing and what I'm starting to learn is that when a tube amplifier is built well and the design is smart and they have muscle and iron behind those tubes, and it's capable of delivering the goods of a high current capable solid state amplifier, it seems to me that there really shouldn't be like this huge paradigm shift as you go from one to the other. At the end of the day, if they're both accurate, right, meaning we can draw a straight line from 20 to 20. We know how to do that. That there shouldn't be a giant crazy shift, right? And that is the truth here. I don't hear a huge crazy paradigm shift when I switch. What I do notice is, where do my tubes go? Where did my tubes go? It's enough of a difference to make me go, they do what tubes do, which is that glowy presence in the midband. They do that, and Specifically, the snapper has a bite to it. And so, as you guys know, I listen to a lot of, classic rock, and I spin the needle on anything from AC/DC to Led Zeppelin to The Who, Neil Young, you name it. And in the mid-band, the snappers do have a genuine bite to it. And it's good. This isn't like, ooh, that's a little bit shouty. It's not, ooh, I'm not sure if I dig that. If anything, it's just, it has an attack to it. And it's pretty addictive when you hear it and you're like, I like that. I like the way that electric guitar is coming through. I like the way that acoustic guitar is coming through. I like the way that snare is popping. I like the way that entire drum kit sounds. There's something about this that is just, it's downright magical. And when you take the snappers out of the equation, you go back to the Leo, it's still really good, but you're going, where did my tubes go? What happened to my tubes? And so call it what you want. This might be the easiest review that I've ever done, because the truth is that for folks that are interested in this type of gear, this is, you're getting into big boy territory. $8,000, for some monoblocks. That's not cheap, right? But here's what I'm going to say. I had the Rogue Audio Dark Apollos, which are $15,000. They're, as far as I know, the best amplifiers that Rogue Audio knows how to make. They're KT120 power tubes. They're 250 watts for each monoblock. You can power the freaking sun with these things. And even though it's been a little while since I've had them, I'm telling you right now, in terms of just sheer muscle and the magic that I'm hearing, the tubiness that is all a part of, this musical enjoyment that I'm experiencing with the snappers, I think they're just as good. Maybe you don't need to go all the way up, that high. Maybe there is diminishing returns at some point, and maybe the snappers is, the finish line. Heck, I don't know. I haven't heard everything out there. I want to, and I want to expand, and I want to explore, and I want to try, more gear. So, top end extension. Well, here's a shocker. The snappers sound accurate. And what I mean by that, let's get this right. It means that a cymbal sounds like a cymbal, and it means that a ride sounds like a ride. It means that anything on top is expressive, and when the drummer is beating the crap out of his drums, the snappers are going to say, and here you go. This is the way this recording is. Sometimes that's pleasant, sometimes it's not. If, you have some top-end content that is not recorded well, it's not mastered well, and it is bright, well, it's going to sound bright on the snappers, because that's what they're being told to do, and that's what they're going to give to you. The reward, however, is when that top end is well recorded, mastered well, that's what you get. You get this beautiful sounding top end extension that is it's clear, and it's ballsy when it should be ballsy, and it's delicate when it should be delicate, and it sounds beautiful and lifelike and realistic. Mid-range, it's the same dang thing. I already mentioned that there is that presence, and I already mentioned that there is that holographic type thing that tubes do that it seems like nobody can actually put their finger on and explain perfectly, but there are some performances that you listen to where you're like, I can get up and walk around in this performance because it's that open and lifelike sounding. That's the magic of tubes. I'm telling you guys, that's it. Like, it's just this holographic type presentation. And specifically, if there is any kind of specific trait to the snappers, is every now and then you get this bite. I don't know if that has to do with EL34 tubes. My guess is as good as yours. I don't know. But I was listening to some Dire Straits, and man, that electric guitar, it was just grinding, and I loved it. I was like, yeah, that's what an electric guitar is supposed to sound like. Bass. This is where they're going to surprise a lot of folks that have either bought really crappy tube amps or they haven't heard a tube amp with the thought and care that has been put into the snappers. They haven't experienced, a custom-made transformer because they knew that they had to do that to pull this off and to give this thing some serious balls. This is where they're going to surprise some people, and they constantly surprise me, and that is they got grip like nobody's business. They will wrap their freaking iron fists around woofers and be like, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's really impressive. And it has this sound where you are convinced that you are hearing some of the best that what, solid state high current has to offer. You're convinced, like, dang, these things are rocking and rolling. So, yeah. That's how I feel. That's what I'm hearing. So, yeah. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? You're supposed to be doing quiet